This is the Thompson Cast. I am Al Thompson. India's government is very upset at allegations that there is corruption evolving around a deal with a coal field or multiple coal fields that were sold to private companies. There are opposition leaders who are saying that the current government sold the coal fields without any transparency and competitive bidding between 2004 and 2009. And the current government, headed by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, is fighting back, saying this is simply not true, and we will not tolerate these types of allegations. This is where you have to analyze the openness of the debate as not the political risk, but the lack of political risk. There's no retaliation against the people who are saying this against Singh's government. They're entitled to do it. They are doing it. This is a very, very good thing. If there had been a crackdown of some degree that would not be completely understood by people in the United States who are very accustomed to using the First Amendment as a protection against saying things against the government, then I could certainly see how there would be a degree of political risk that would be raised. However, in the case of India and the Singh government, as it pertains to these particular allegations, they have responded in a way that a politician would respond in the United States, knowing full well that a reaction that is over the top or in any way detrimental to the rights of the people who are making the accusations to further protest policy would be a bad thing. A political risk, in my opinion, in a situation like this, is one that would manifest itself if there was a crackdown on people who are in the opposition, who are saying things publicly that are in total opposition to a particular policy of a sitting government. The fact that this is not happening is an incredibly positive thing. Not that I expected anything less or anything more. I'm using this as an opportunity to highlight how important free speech is. You have a current situation in Russia where this punk band, Pussy Riot, the three women in question were jailed for 2 years because of a video they filmed in a church that was in complete opposition to the policies of the current Russian government, headed by Vladimir Putin. The Pussy Riot verdict is absolutely, without question, a political verdict as opposed to a judicial verdict, in my opinion. It is not right, and it also raises serious questions of whether or not a foreign direct investor or a business that ever did anything that was, shall we say, in opposition to a host nation's government would not bear the consequences of what they would perceive as free speech, but what would be perceived by the host country as a problem, or as the government of Vladimir Putin would put it, hooliganism. There's a clear line, a very, very bright line that is drawn between how the Indian government under Mr. Singh is handling opposition accusations of corruption and how Russia is handling it. Quite frankly, I would rather put my faith in a government that would take the hit and then say, this is not true, this is not the current policy, or it is not a bad policy, nor is it a corrupt policy. Even if they lied, I would rather have those people in charge than those who would actually utilize a judicial system to jail people who say that something is wrong with a particular policy. openness to criticism, the acceptance of criticism, and the ability to deal with it in a mature manner is a very, very good sign that there is very low political risk. That if you happen to be a foreign direct investor or a business, you will not run afoul of a law that makes it very easy for the authorities to clamp down on your opinions. People in the United States are very, very fortunate in that we don't have, in theory, this type of retaliation, although it does exist, particularly in small towns. But from the standpoint of the foreign direct investor, where there is a lot of money at stake, you cannot be in a situation where a comment will jeopardize the investment or the totality of the business that you have either started, invested in, or have some stake in some way. And when I say comment, I mean a truthful comment that is critical of your host nation government. This is a good thing for India. It is a positive thing, and I believe there is absolutely no political risk that would be connected to the opposition's comments. How it's all going to shake out in the end, involving the sale of these coal fields, is another issue. If it comes down that these coal fields were sold without any transparency and there was some type of deal in a back room, then in my opinion that is still not a political risk, because what else would you think was going to happen in a situation where the government is very close to certain types of businesses that are national in a sense. National in the sense that they are homegrown. People know people. They give people opportunities. They cut them slack. It happens. You must prepare for it, understand it, and accept it. But overall, the fact that the Indian government is not doing anything so far to clamp down on its critics in a way that would limit their freedom of speech is a good sign that there very well may be no issue here. And certainly a comment by a foreign direct investor or a company that an investor would be party to or have a stake in, any comment by those parties would not result in a threat to the investment and thus be a political risk. This has been the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson.